Welcome to the news according to three friends, the part of the show where three friends try to make sense of the news, and usually end up making fun of it instead because, let's be honest, is it really that important or serious? Or did we just squirrel out and move on? Either way, crap. This is the news according to three friends.
So welcome back to Three Friends and All the Things. And today's topic, we're going to talk about the war in Iran and what our country is doing and what the stuff that's going on overseas. But before we get into that, I'm going to lead off with the fact of the day. And the fact of the day is silverback gorillas can lift up to 1,700 pounds. For those who are interested.
What you're saying is that when we did women versus bear, it should have been women versus gorilla?
Sure, Colleen. Whatever you want.
Okay.
Colleen versus silverback gorilla. How's that?
Now that'd be a fight.
My money's
I got
on
some
Colleen
pounds
on
on
that
me.
Yeah, my money's on Colleen. All righty. Okay, let's get down to business. Let's talk about this war and what our opinions are on it. So, Dave, do you want to kick us off?
I'll start us off. So I'm for it. I'm not for everything that Donald Trump's been doing. I voted for him because, in all honesty, to kind of just to get off and on to the topic, I blame the parties where we're at today because they never really gave us Democrat or Republican, never gave us a very good candidate. We're victim of what they had to offer. And I blame the parties for not giving us something to choose from. I will say some of the things that Donald Trump has done are good. Like most presidents, Democrat or Republican, they've done a little good and they've done a little bad. You just gauge it one way or the other in your own opinion. As far as the war goes, I don't know that any of the wars that we've been in, as long as I've been alive, that we've entered Desert Storm, Libya, the Gulf War, any of the wars that we've been involved in, I don't know that any of them have been constitutional or unconstitutional. I think they were just going gung-ho because somebody either said something or did something to us, pissed us off, and we took the side of somebody because they went after one of our allies. So we decided, you know what, we're big brother on campus. We're going to stick up for the little guy and we're going to fight. So I think that's kind of where we're at today. This thing overseas in the Middle East has been going on since the age of Jesus, and just in different names. I think we're more looking at our own generation as little kids, and now, in our 50s or whatever. We're looking at it from the start of us to now where we're at. So we're looking at it from this stage. And for me, I think at some point, I hate to be like, we're always the referee, and I feel like we're always bailing people out. But nobody, when we need it the best, we can't even bail ourselves out. We're over here in this country. We have a lot of homeless people. We're struggling constantly. Even the blue collar workers struggle. Like, we're all blue collar workers. We all struggle with the day-to-day cost of things. And the last thing we need is a war to bolster up prices and make things even more stressful. But because of the way our country is and the way we handle things, we're resilient. We always bounce back. We always find a way to make it.
Some people say that is why some wars have been started, because it does, in fact, bolster the economy.
Yes, it does. And it raises a lot of things that, and in hindsight is like, it only raises a couple things. Most of the time it's oil prices. When it comes to the Middle East, it's always about oil, and the gas prices go through the roof, and everybody's complaining that our gas prices are like $8 a gallon. It's in some places, but
I think that may be a consequence, but our manufacturing industry gets increased because we have to make bullets and bombs and Kevlar. Yeah. And I think that the problem comes in with who owns those industries, and is it self-serving? Because it's not helping us.
Yeah, that's it. Like, who's paying? Like, in the ultimate, if you look at it, Colleen, ultimately we're the ones paying. Like, it's not the government's making out like, hand over fist. They're collecting the money. We're making it. We're selling it, but we're not all working towards it.
It's not necessarily the government that's making the money. It's the government's cousin that owns the business. He's the one making the money.
Yeah, right.
And the kickbacks involved in that.
There's a lot of palms being greased, and it just ain't ours. That's
absolutely
that's how I look at it. So, for me, when it comes to policy and standing up for what's right, I think the United States has been taken advantage of for so long. It's so many different presidencies we've been taken advantage of for so many years that now there's a president there who doesn't put up with crap. But in my opinion, he's very immature in the way he handles things. So I think if he was a little bit more mature, he would have more respect from the citizens in this country. Rather than half of us respecting him, the other half would he'd have a 75% following, in my opinion, versus 25% follow or 50% following. So,
well, if he didn't turn on everyone the day they pissed him off,
well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, exactly, Colleen. You got to pick and choose your battles, and I think he wants to battle everybody because when you look at him the wrong way, he wants to throw a pie at you and get in your face and like show you
everyone's the best. He's the best guy that's ever been. He's the best. I've never met anyone better. And then you say one thing he doesn't like. I never liked him. He was an asshole to begin with.
And then if you look at,
how do you take someone like that seriously?
You can't, because the one time when he does something good, 10 minutes later he does something to stick his foot in his mouth, and you're like, dude, come on! Like, you just you might have won somebody over by doing what you did or said what you said, and then 10 minutes later you put your foot back in your mouth. And you know what that person just said when you didn't have them, and then you got them. They're like, well, I knew that's the way it was. I don't know why I thought they'd be any different. Now you just lost them again, and that kind of like, I don't know where his success is going to be at the end of this, but I do know this. Like, I think as a whole, the United States is doing their best to play Big Brother and to put people in check. And what I think needs to happen, because you're hearing these other parties getting involved, like you're hearing that like North Korea is getting involved now. They want to give missiles to whoever to fight against us. And I think that's where. Yeah, and I think that's where China should step in as Big Brother over there and say, yo, you shut your mouth and you stay in your lane. And then you got Russia, who's got problems with the Ukraine. If there's others involved over there, then they need to play Big Brother and say, you shut your mouth. And the problem is there's not enough Big Brothers to go around. We can't be Big Brother to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll tell you this. I have disconnected so much from the news because it's not unbiased anymore. Everyone has an agenda, so I stopped watching it, that I don't really know enough about this war to comment if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know enough about the Grand Poobah, whoever he is, that they killed. And I know that doesn't say much about me as an American citizen that I don't know that, but I think it does speak to the fact of the information and blame fatigue that a lot of people have with the current news. I will tell you that my opinion on wars in general in the Middle East, most of them have not been from a Big Brother point of view as much as from a financial point of view. I think that if we were playing Big Brother, there are a lot of other areas in the world that we should show that American grit and determination, that you can't treat people like that, like in South America and in half of Africa, where there's rampant genocide and political upheaval, but we don't go to those places because it doesn't affect us financially.
No.
And that to me says that we shouldn't be, not that we shouldn't be fighting the war, but I don't know that we should be the blowhards that we tend to be about the righteousness of it.
Right. No, yeah, you make a valid point with that, because there are wars where we don't get involved, and then we do. There have been some in the past. And honestly, I don't know much. We went it's not really a war, but we got in the middle of Somalia, and that's where they got the movie Black Hawk Down. So when you watch that movie, there was a lot of influences there. Like, why were we there? Like, we lost a lot of people to that war, because why we were there? We were trying to play peacekeeping, and that was a country there, whether it was genocidal or whatever it was in the makings of that war. We got into the middle of something there that we probably from either side weren't invited to. You know what I mean?
And
then
as
we were
far
going
as
against the whole entire country versus trying to pick a side
as
to
far
help.
as being the world's big brother, we have a lot of issues at home that we need to take care of.
Agreed.
I'm not saying that we should condone genocide or powers that are taking over other countries. I think we should make some sort of a stand. But until we house our veterans or have them easy access to medical care and mental health care. I mean, we're paying for our politicians for lifetime medical services, but not our veterans. That doesn't make sense to me. I think we have things to fix at home.
Yeah.
But until we get away from a two-party system and a system that relies on, the word just went right out of my head. Lobbyists. Until we get away from lobbyists, that's not going to change. It's always going to have some element of self-interest in it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think?
Thoughts, Chris?
Well, there's a lot of tensions between, the U.S. and Israel and Iran and Palestine and, the whole Middle East, and Trump decided that, he had enough, like he said, he's making them stay in their lane and making them take accountability. And this is what's going to happen. So if you put your hand on a burning stove, you're going to get burned, And so I feel like a lot of these countries are like, oh, I'm going to put my hand on there. Let's see what happens. And, Trump's like, we warned you and here's what's going on. Right. So
yeah,
I'm kind of for it because I feel like some of these countries, like the nonsense and the bullshit, it needs to stop. It just needs to stop, and I'm against it because of the same reason. It all just needs to stop, right? But how is it going to stop? Someone's got to step in. Now, going back on Colleen's point, yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be done in our own country. So we need to stop coming to the rescue of everybody else. Why are we, as the United States, putting ourselves in the position where, oh, okay, well, we're going to step into the Middle East and we're just going to solve this problem right now. We're going to step in between, Russia and Ukraine, and we're going to solve this problem right now. The problem that I'm seeing, my takeaway of all this is it's because of the nuclear bombs and nuclear things that, that they have, that they're trying to, we as the United States, we're trying to keep that in check. Like, you can't just go around bombing people and, what's going to happen if we piss off North Korea?
Everyone's going to hate me for this, but aren't we the only country that actually used a nuclear weapon twice?
Well, an atomic bomb we dropped. And
an atomic bomb.
We actually tested it and we used it in Japan. But then again,
we're the only ones that actually used weapons of mass destruction on that scale. We appoint ourselves the sheriff of everyone else.
Yeah, I agree we're really not a sheriff, but honestly, I think the issue is I don't even know if it's a nuclear thing. I get what you guys are saying about the nuclear thing. I just don't think that anybody is ballsy enough to use the nuclear warhead for one reason. If you use it, you're ending everything. Like there's a fallout across the globe. It's not going to just affect one bomb. It's just not going to affect one area.
I think that was true in the 80s and the 90s. I don't know that that's true today. I think that people are, in fact, crazy enough to do it.
And that may be true, but I don't think nobody's going to benefit from it. That's the problem. I think they have people in the background saying, yeah, we could be the big guy and pull the trigger because we're nuts. But are we going to be here to look at it and see who's going to benefit? Nobody's benefiting from it. You're not gaining anything. You're not going to come in the United States and take over the United States. There's not going to be anything left. What are you taking over?
Question for both of you guys. Do you think the UN has any real power or is it just a talking head?
I think as a whole it does. But the problem is it's just like everything else. It's politics. You get there and everything becomes a full-out debate. You have 50% over here are against what you're talking about, and the other 50% are for it. So it's like NATO is supposed to be the world cops, so to speak, and keep everybody in check. And I feel like, is it really keeping us in check, or is it just trying to control everything? Like, I think NATO is kind of like, I hate to get into the biblical perspective of it, but I think they're the devil. I think they want a one world order where they can control everything. They can control the money. They can control
I
the
don't
world.
know that I agree with that. I think that after World War I, that was such a traumatic event for a world that had never experienced something to that degree before. There had always been skirmishes and civil wars, but a world war where millions of people were dying, wave after wave after wave of people were dying. For what?
Yeah.
I think that trauma led them to make decisions that we're feeling the repercussions of today. Like when they split up the Middle East into its current countries, none of the native population were consulted, like the Sunnis and the Shiites and the Hittites, and no, not Hittites, that's biblical, my bad. None of the religious sects were taken into consideration. It was just France gets this part and the US gets this part and England gets this part, and we get all of the benefits from that.
Yeah.
And right. And the way it was split up led to today's issues.
And I think that's where the problem
over one piece of land that's been going on for years and years and years and years and years. And it's and then here comes Trump going, oh, I'm gonna buy Gaza and I'm gonna take it over and I'm gonna make it, Trump Gaza land or whatever the hell he said. And that's the thing. You have all of these countries fighting, and for what? Like, what is the point?
Do you think if the oil fields dried up that we would care what happened in the Middle East?
Probably not.
Do you think we would be as invested?
Nope, because it's all desert other than that. It's just like everywhere else. Look at the Ukraine. Ukraine is big on minerals. Take away the minerals.
That's all rare earth minerals.
Yeah. If you take away their minerals, what do they got to offer? Nothing. It's just like the United States. Everything that we have to offer here, if we didn't have those things, people would be like, what do I need you for? It's a need thing. That's where the trade and tariffs come in and the bargaining and all that.
Don't you find it offensive that it's touted as a moral war when in fact it's a financial war? Because I find that offensive.
I don't know if I consider it a financial war, and I'll tell you why I don't think it is. I think our business over there is because of I think 9/11 put a lot of things in perspective. And when 9/11 happened, even when Japan had the bombing of the ships in Pearl Harbor, when all this went down on U.S. soil, and whether we had inclement that it was going to happen or whether we didn't, the fact that it happened on American soil and we could not stop it, that set a thing into, that put a whole ball into motion. The United States is not taking crap from anybody anymore. Now we're at a point where we're putting our people first. So when you have terrorist cells operating out of those countries and people want to be left alone, okay, we'll leave you alone. But why are you sending people here to kill Americans? Why? Mm-hmm. There's no reason for it.
Probably because we stole their land and divided it up into different countries that they had no say in after World War I, and made them live with their arch enemies, and they had no control over that as punishment for World War I. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with them. My God, I am not saying I agree with them.
We go into
this. But
I
am saying that we had a part to play in this. Well, just like when we armed Afghanistan because Russia was moving in and it was the Cold War, and God forbid Russia do anything. We armed
Colleen,
Afghanistan and then we abandoned them.
Yeah, and you're not the first person to step on that topic too and bring that up, because another person brought that up, and we say that, and the person that brought that up in another forum, which was on live TV, said, how can we say that this is fair when we, in fact, stole? How can we say we're living on free land when we stole this land to begin with that we're living on? But yet that person that said that night went back to their $1 billion mansion and slept with a butler, bringing them breakfast the next morning.
Yeah.
So if
I
people
understand
believe
your
that,
point.
That's my thing. Like, you're probably right. Most of the countries that we live in today, all over this world, have had blood spilled for something or another in those countries, considering this land.
Why do we always
to
have to be the ones to straighten it out, though? Why aren't more European countries involved?
So I just don't think that there's not enough big European countries to take control. And nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to get involved. Everybody wants to defend. That's, I kind of think, why, people say France hates us. I think that's why France does hate us, because they don't want to be involved in nothing. And somehow they get pulled into
France hates
stuff.
Everybody.
Like they see a U.S. citizen come, like, oh, we can't stand you. Like, what did I do? All I said was I was calm as a cucumber. Don't judge me. That's all I said.
Calm as a pickle.
Sorry, calm as a pickle.
Oh my God!
Listen, I have family.
We gotta wrap this up.
That's why family in another country.
Colleen, you go first. Chris, you go first.
Country.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, I think this war just needs to come to an end. I think that it's ridiculous that we are always, the one to step in and take control of it. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad that we are the ones that step in and take control of it. I just think that people, the leaders of these countries, they just need to come together and, just like the Republicans and the Democrats, there's got to be a meeting point. You can't just say, oh, the sky's blue. Well, you know what? I don't like that answer. I'm going to say that it's not. No, just, it might be a cloudy day. It might be over, whatever, but there's got to be a central point where all the parties can just come together, whether you're a leader of a country, a party, in politics, it doesn't matter. There's got to be a meeting ground, where you can come to, where you can all agree on one point. It doesn't have to be agreement on everything, but you got to get to a point where everyone can agree so you can move on and do it in a peaceful way. So I'm just hoping this whole thing ends. I would like to say very quickly that Colleen and I have a friend that we went to school with, Tina Caputi Kennevan. Tina's son is over in Dubai right now. So I messaged her the other day to make sure that he was safe, and he is. He and his friends are sheltering in place right now. I don't know if or when he's gonna leave or what his situation is, but he is safe right now over in Dubai. I know Dubai is getting hit by bombs because of this, and it really makes it hit home because, Colleen and I went to grade school and high school with Tina. We've known her since the first grade. And here's her son over in Dubai. Now, I've never met her son. However, it would be devastating, if we found out. I speak for myself on this one, but I think Colleen would agree. It would be devastating if we found out that something happened to her son because we know her. We've known her our whole life, and so now it's hitting close to home. Now, come on, it's got to come to an end. It's got to come to an end. It makes it personal.
Yeah. I'm the same way. At some point, this has got to come to a screeching halt. It's like this thing, like somebody has to, it's just like, be the bigger person. At some point, it's just like the bully. You beat the weak guy up enough. Like, I get it. You're trying to drive home a point. Drive your point and be done with it. And say, listen, can we call a truce? Can we be friends? I mean, I've been in scuffles as a kid. We've all been in scuffles in school. And I remember people that I've gotten fights with that later, after I got in that fight, we were best friends after that. We were talk all the time. You see each other home and say hello. Like, it's become monotonous. It's like, I'm so sick of, it's the same thing. And they say history repeats itself. At some point, the big guy's going to come back. And when he does, when Jesus Christ sets foot on this surface, and he sets foot on this surface, he's going to look at everybody and you're all going to bow your head and you're going to look at yourself like, what did I'm an idiot. And he's going to laugh at him. You know what I mean?
I get what you're both saying, that it needs to come to an end and we need to come together and make a peace and a lasting peace. But I think that there's maybe a level of naivete in that because it's been 2,000 years. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
No, you're probably right. I mean, I don't think any of us are naive to that. I think that's kind of what we all want. I mean, it's just but at some point,
everyone wants that. But how do we get it? What is the path to that? Is it war?
What is your end game? That's my thing. Like, your end game has been the same since day one of this. You're talking, and I'm guessing, breaching millions of years of fighting. Millions. We're now at this point in stage. At some point, does somebody get tired?
Right.
Like, does it ever get tiring? Like, seriously, like,
I saw a clip where a guy was talking about violence and how it's become such a prevalent part of society. And his answer to that was, when there were 4 people on the earth, one of them killed the other. You had a 66% chance of not being murdered.
Yeah.
So violence has always been a part of
kids,
humanity.
let this be a lesson. Don't go hanging out with Jeffrey Dahmer, because you will be that 1% that gets whacked. On that note, this episode of Three Friends and All the Things. Go ahead, Chris. You want to finish this up? And let's go to our sponsors.
Our sponsors.
Axe and Arrow Beer at High Street in Glassboro, right off of Rowan's campus. And KMT Consultant Group on 900 Haddon Ave in Collingswood, accounting firm.
And brought to you today by Trees Company. Trees Company for all of your tree removal services, located in Port Elizabeth, New Jersey. So on that note, let us know what you think about the war with Iran. Are you for it, against it? Are you not so sure? Let us know your thoughts. In the meantime, from Three Friends and All the Things, this is Chris, Dave, and Colleen. Stay safe, keep it real, and remember who you are.
Go Phils!
Go Flyers!
Thanks for listening to the show. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. See you next time on Three Friends and All the Things podcast. Real talk, real people. New episodes drop every week, so hit follow, leave a review, and tell your messiest friend to listen too. You know the one I'm talking about. Until next time, keep it real, keep it loud, and keep doing all the things.